Alright, so hello everyone. Welcome to episode 13. I'm pretty sure it's 13 of the More Knowledge Show, coming to you live every week. On Monday, but I usually record on Sunday, and I probably upload it on Sunday, but you'll probably be watching this on Monday, because that's when I start. I send the video out on Monday, so technically it releases on Monday, but today's a Sunday, so I'm not sure what's going on Monday. So if you're watching this on Monday night and some crazy thing just happened, maybe a trade deal happened, or a giant war broke out, you're not going to hear about it on the More Knowledge Show. And usually what I'll do is I'll talk about the things that's been going on over the past week. So what's been going on last week. And if I'm gonna do that, then I guess today we can talk about how everything is incredible now. Everything is amazing. All the problems of our globe have pretty much been solved. Okay, I mean, that's pretty much how it appears if you just look at what's going on. And I'm being pretty serious about this. It seems like everything has been solved. It seems like everything has been solved. All right, so if we go down to the United Kingdom, you see all the fears about no deal Brexit, with the United Kingdom exiting the European Union without any sort of plan, or just if they just on it was supposed to be on October 31st, they were going to just hop out the European Union without any sort of plan or any sort of like any sort of contract with the European Union. And that happened. There's supposed to be like a lot of chaos. Some people were saying that there's going to be shortages of food, people were going to starve to death, there will be chaos in the streets. And those people who were saying that were probably right. That probably is what's going to happen. It's just common sense. You have a country as big as and important as the United Kingdom just hopping out of an entire, just hopping out of the European Union. There's going to be some problems with that, but I guess now people think that something like that is not going to happen, because what we've seen is that in Parliament they had a vote, and they're preventing the original plan of just hopping out of the European Union on October 31st. But here's the thing, and here's the issue. It's still going to happen. Eventually, it's going to happen, because the problems that made people angry with the European Union are not going away, and it's just starting with the United Kingdom. All right, it's not just going to happen in the United Kingdom. It's going to happen to other countries too. So just because it may not be happening on October 31st, that does not change the long-term outlook. But as we know, a lot of the things that go on in our markets aren't really focused on what the actual long-term outlook is. A lot of people are just focused on, in the next few months, maybe things won't be as bad as we thought it would be. But it's not really about the next few months. It's really about what could happen over the next few years. And over the next few years, the outlook hasn't changed at all. So but of course people are going to react positively to any type of headline that comes out like this, and it's expected. But it just shows that if you just stare at what goes on in the markets, if you stare at what goes on in the pound or the dollar or gold, you're gonna get signals that do not really tell you how good or bad our world really is. But the thing is, a lot of people do take these signals, and as a result, they make bad decisions. So they look at something like this, they look at something like what's going on in Britain, they say, oh, well, it seems that things have gotten a lot better. maybe I should go start a business in the United Kingdom now. I'm gonna go. I'm not sure if anyone's actually doing this, but but the basic idea is that these signals from our market that are based on short-term optimism, when in reality, over the long term, things are still bad. The problems have not been solved, but it creates an illusion that the problems have been solved. So as a result, people make bad decisions, and then these bad decisions just make the original problem even worse, which makes the downturn even worse. So it's like a cycle. It all feeds into itself. And it's a problem that isn't going away. It's existed for a long time. But it's just important that we're aware of it. It's important that we are aware of it, that if you just stare at a chart, if you just look at the headlines, you're going to be led in the wrong direction. And that's what majority of people do. And that's why majority of people are moving in the wrong direction. So, besides what's going on in the United Kingdom, we can also talk about Hong Kong. Because, Hong Kong, if you've been paying attention to the news, they got rid of the extradition bill that really started these protests. And the stock market in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong stock index, whatever, I forgot what it's called, but it went up this week. It's been doing very bad because the Hong Kong economy has been doing very bad as a result of these protests. And people are seeing that, maybe things in Hong Kong will not escalate the way that I've been saying it might escalate into. And while this removal of this bill, it's probably going to prevent in the short term something terrible from happening. Remember, again, in the long term, the problems that are making the people in Hong Kong want to get independence have not gone away. This one bill really just kind of incited people. But people are angry about a whole bunch of things that are not going to be solved by the communist Chinese government. The Chinese government is not going to let Hong Kong just have whatever it wants. The Chinese government is about controlling people. And they're about increasing its control and increasing its power. And what's going on in Hong Kong is moving against what the Chinese government wants to do. And what we've known historically with any of these type of governments, like the Chinese government, is that if you move in front of their agenda, they will move you out of the way with force. And that is what Hong Kong is doing. What the protesters in Hong Kong are saying is that simply removing this bill is not enough. It's not going to stop it. The protests are going to continue, and they may calm down for a little bit, but they're not going to stop. The Hong Kong that you've known, a great place, a lot of companies love Hong Kong. The economy, is usually pretty strong. Hong Kong is, a lot of people like to go to Hong Kong for on a vacation and stuff like that. That Hong Kong is not going to exist anymore. We are never going to see that Hong Kong again. And that Hong Kong, that's one of the top financial centers in the entire globe. It's only going to go downhill from here. And once again, in fact, even this, I think with what's going on in Hong Kong, I think people understand that the protests are not going to end. I think people understand that the problems are not going to end. I just don't think people understand how far the Chinese government is going to go to solve these problems. And what's going to happen is, when the Chinese government does try to solve these problems, a trade deal with the United States is going to be done. So this is basically, pretty much what I'm saying is, it is confirmed that relationships with China and America, when it comes to trade, will not get better. And that kind of leads me into my next point, because another thing that has been allowing people to be more confident about everything is the fact that they've announced another meeting with China in October. And it's kind of amazing that we still celebrate these things, because if we just look at what's happened in the past, a meeting usually just means more escalations. A meeting just makes people realize, every time we meet, people just realize again the reason why a trade deal simply will not happen. And if it does happen, it will not happen on our terms. And what I mean by it's not going to happen on our terms is it's not going to happen because we pressured China into making a trade deal with us. It's going to happen because our economy is so screwed up that we have to take a trade deal to hopefully help the economy get back on its feet. That's what's going to happen, because that's pretty much how any war works. People don't just, when there's a war, all right, people are fighting. They fight until one side has taken so much damage that they have to give up. That's how these wars work. Okay, so, but and the reason why it's gonna have to end like that is because we need to remember, once again, America wants China to be something that it simply cannot become. Because if China does do what America wants, that'll be moving against its agenda. America wants the Chinese government to back off. They want the Chinese government to shrink, to have a less control and influence. And what we're seeing is the Chinese government is just increasing its control. So, why would the Chinese government just if the Chinese government does what America wants it to do, it will go completely against what the Chinese government is trying to do. But America, we're going to keep on pushing them to move in this direction, and it's not going to work, and it's only going to hurt us. It's also going to hurt them. But listen, China is going to do what it set out to do, regardless if America's with us or not. I mean, regardless if we are with them or not. They already have their plans. They're already working with other countries. So I mean, it's and I'm gonna be honest. If China does become the most powerful country in the world, that would not be a good thing. I would much rather have America retain its control, because the Chinese government is not a good government, but we are trying to fight them in the wrong way, instead of creating alliances to go against them. We're trying to fight them as well as a million other countries. So overall, the trade war, once again, it's another thing. It's making things seem great, when in reality, nothing has truly changed. Nothing fundamental has changed. Nothing about our climate has changed. And that is simply just that. But besides all of those political stuff, we actually had some economic numbers. We had some the employment numbers. It came out this past week, and what we saw is, job creation is clearly slowing down, as is our entire economy. All right, so we created 130,000 jobs. That was below the expected 150,000, and the creation of jobs have been slowing down consistently for quite a long time. Really, all throughout this year, the amount of jobs being created has been slowing down. And I'll say the problem with these jobs numbers is, first, it's basically a guarantee that the jobs numbers are actually a lot weaker than we were being told, but the government has a strategy. All right, what the government does is they'll tell you one number, and then a year later they'll come back and they'll come back and they'll revise the past numbers down to what they truly are. A report came out not long ago that basically said in 2018 we created 500,000 fewer jobs than what the government told us. So things were actually a lot worse than what we were told in 2018, but they were just hiding it from us. But what they do is, when they come back a year later and they revise it down, they do two things. First, you can't say that the government's lying, because technically they could just say, oh, well, we made an honest mistake, but then we corrected ourselves. And second, people react to things in the moment. So when you go back and change the past numbers to reflect what they truly were, the markets and the economy is not going to react to that. They're going to react to what they see in the moment. So every time the market reacts to these economic numbers, they're reacting to what's going on in the moment. And even with this clear manipulation of the employment numbers, they're still weakening. And the other problem with employment numbers is pretty much by the time they actually get bad, like you start seeing people are like, the unemployment rate starts going up. By the time all of that comes in, we are already going to be in a crisis, because it is a lagging indicator, meaning it's showing what has happened in the past. So if you see that a lot of jobs have been lost in the past, then in the present, things are a lot worse. So anytime you see these things start to weaken, it's a good sign to be worried. All right? It's a good sign to be worried, because who knows? We could be in a recession right now, but the jobs numbers for the past month are not going to tell us that. And that's another issue. And a lot of people do not really think of it like that. A lot of people do not think of it like the fact that these employment numbers reflect the past, not what's going to happen in the next month. So if they weaken in the past, then what the world that you're living in right now is much worse than what you saw with those jobs numbers. But the markets did not react too terribly. I think people still believe that the Federal Reserve could come in and save them. People believe that a trade deal is going to happen, and a trade deal is going to happen because America is able to pressure China into just having whatever America wants them to do. A lot of these things are still widespread beliefs. If you go on the internet, there's a lot of people who think like this, and it's shown in the markets. I mean, people are starting to take risks again. People aren't as scared as they were, and it's all kind of ridiculous because, in fact, nothing has gotten even close to being better. But once again, it just shows more of our problems. And another thing is, the Federal Reserve, they came out and they basically said the economy is not going to head into a recession. And I guess people kind of took comfort in the Federal Reserve saying that. But it's interesting because the job of the Federal Reserve is to keep confidence in the entire system. That is like one of their biggest jobs. That's literally one of their biggest jobs, is to keep confidence in the entire system, to keep the economy growing, to keep the expansion going. They always say at every meeting, we're going to act as appropriate to keep this economy growing at a certain level, keep inflation up at a certain level. So this is not only done through actual monetary policy, it's also done through what they say. So if their job is to prop up the economy, then why would they come out and tell the truth about the economy and say the economy is actually bad? Because if they say the economy is bad, then that's going to scare people. People are not going to spend money. People are going to start saving. Businesses are not going to invest their money. The stock markets are going to go down. That's going to have a reverse on the wealth effect. The wealth effect where the stocks are going up. People are more confident, so people are more willing to spend money. Employers are not going to hire people, and consumer spending, which has been keeping the economy up, is not going to be able to maintain its growth. So, as a result, of course, they're not going to say that we're heading to a recession. But once again, people it's literally in the job description of the Federal Reserve. They tell you what they're trying to do. And when they do it, we just take it. Like, they tell us they're trying to prop up the economy. And then when they use their words to prop up the economy, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. But it is what it is. Anyway, that's today's episode. That's this week's episode of the More Knowledge Show. Hopefully you figure something out. Who knows what will happen this week. But hopefully we will all still be here to listen to the next episode of the More Knowledge Show, which will come out next week around the same time. So anyway, Have a productive week. Be sure to stay safe. And yeah, goodbye.